home. Vault dwellers are an endangered species. I do not think you would be willing to do what it takes to survive up here. If you insist on staying, then you will have to adapt.
All right, I'm finally talking about the Fallout TV series. It took me a couple months to finally finish it, but I finally finished it. All right, so if you don't know, I'm a big fan of Fallout. I mean, I started with New Vegas, and then when Fallout 4, it just came out, I logged so many hours into that game. And then 76 came out. And, we'll just leave it at that. Just going to throw my 2 cents. I don't think 76 is bad. It's definitely, definitely cool. But I will say I did play it, the day it came out. And I was like, okay, I think I'm done. And I really didn't touch it until I started watching the show. Then I went back to that game and I was like, you know what? It's actually good. I mean, not as good as the other ones, but I still like the world building in it, but besides the point. So I'm a big fan of Fallout. So when it was announced that they were going to do a TV show and that showrunner was going to be Jonathan Nolan, or Christopher Nolan's brother, I was pretty excited for it. I was like, all right, this is going to be really cool, because I'd seen the first season of Westworld, which was really good. And then once I finished it, HBO kicked it off of Max. And I was so irritated because I was like, oh my God, that I want to watch more of it. And so thanks HBO. But, so I finally finished this, and I'll say, I would put this in the same boat as The Last of Us, where it's a video game adaptation done right. And the difference between this and something like The Last of Us is The Last of Us, it's all about the story. It's all about the story and the characters that you meet along the way. This Fallout is such a huge playground to play around with that it's almost like Star Wars. It's a huge playing ground where you can, mess around. You meet so many different characters and so many stories that, frankly, the show can go whatever way they want to go. They can do something like follow the story of a game, or make something completely different and make it, something where it's kind of set in the same universe as the games. And what I think they did here was quite amazing, to be completely honest. So this is about a vault dweller who goes out into the wasteland of California to go look for her father, who a bunch of, they say raiders, but, as you watch the show, but her father has been kidnapped. So she goes off into the wasteland to try and find her father, and meets some interesting characters and, some very interesting circumstances. And oh boy, I'll say this: if you want to try and get into Fallout, this is actually a pretty good way in. Now, it's different from playing the game, because one, you're actually controlling the stuff, and you're actually choosing your way to go. But this is a really good representation of Fallout for television. And I think Jonathan Nolan did, and all the other writers did an amazing job, because they actually, Nolan even said he played the Fallout games, which, I always stand by. Let people who play the video games do the adaptations, because they know what's good about them and what it to avoid, which I think they did terrible with, like, the Resident Evil stuff. But with The Last of Us, it was actually, somebody who has a visual eye, and they got Neil Druckmann, I believe, who did the Last of Us games. So the fact that they actually brought in the creator of the games to help out, that's what they need to do. That's what they need to do, is either get people who actually worked on the games to work on the movie or TV series, or you get people who actually played the games and actually know what is good, what is bad about them, what to add and what to avoid, or even both. Both worked out great. And so then we got like The Last of Us, and then now this. So, to see a video game adaptation just fail miserably nowadays, there's no excuse for it. So I'm very glad that this worked and worked out great. And there's so many like twists and turns in it that were just like, oh my God. And what I ended up doing was I got to halfway, and then I binged all 4 episodes, the last 4 episodes in one day. And then the last episode, the twist of it all, it's like, it was almost like the twists came in like an onion, or you're going to say Shrek, where they have layers. So it's like you see this one layer and it's like, whoa, that's a big twist. And then it peels away, revealing another twist. And you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And then it peels another one, and then it just keeps going and going and going. And then you're to the point where you're like, oh my God, that is brilliant. And especially what happens and how everything came about. My jaw was to the floor, because I was like, oh my God, that is dark and that is brilliant. Like, because it's implied in the games a certain way of something that happened. I'm not going to spoil it. And then in the show, it's like, okay, but what if we brought this in? And it's like, oh my God, that would make so much sense. That would make so much sense. And that is brilliant. And yeah, that part made the series for me. And then I originally thought what they were going to do was almost do something like, maybe like American Horror Story, where each season it's new, it's a completely like new story, new characters, but it's the same actors. And then once I got to the finale of this, I went, nope, that's not going to happen. I mean, they could, but not in the next season. Because, yeah, this show, I think a week after it premiered, immediately got picked up for a second season by Prime. And even what's funnier is that a couple of days after it premiered, I think the state of California said, yeah, if you guys want shooting perms to film a second season, we're good. You can go ahead and do it. So it was kind of on Prime to go like, hey, you guys gonna pick it up for another season? Why not pick up another one? Like, knock yourself out. And so, I really can't find a flaw in this. This is somewhere along the lines of like The Last of Us show, where they took everything that was great about it, pumped it up to 11, and even added some new stuff that makes sense and help flow the story brilliantly. This is the same thing. And also, my dad and I, after I finished the show, or after I finished an episode, I then would like let him know, and I said like, did you spot this? Did you spot this? And you can actually, if you are a diehard Fallout fan, there are so many Easter eggs in this that it's almost like The Haunting of Hill House, where you're finding all the ghosts in the house. This is like spot all the different companies and products from the games. And it just becomes so much fun because you're like, look, it's right there. Like, hey, look at that. It's a Nuka-Cola sitting there. Look at Sugar Bomb sitting right there. And it's like that. And so it became fun to like, it was almost like a spot it was like Where's Waldo? Where it was find the Fallout reference. Like find the product. And it was fun. There was so much packed into this that just made this so engaging and just so fantastic that this gets an amazing, to be completely honest. And I cannot wait for season 2. And hopefully it doesn't take forever, but you know, if it has to take a while for them to make, you know, season 2, man, it better be just as good, if not better than this, because they knocked it out of the park with this. So bravo, you guys did such an amazing job.